The 2017 rut started somewhere around Labor Day weekend. Not what we were looking for, but the first signs of the rut nonetheless. The days got shorter and the shadows lengthened. Velvet peeled and the scrapes and rubs magically appeared. It was testosterone time in whitetail country once again. We started tracking the rut the beginning of October. Our rut meter read 2%, but it was hunting season. Fast. Deer were still in their summer feeding frenzy, but the rut was on the way. It will still be a good while before we were even thinking about calling rut on. The call went out early November 7th to be exact. The signs were there: bucks chasing estrus does, fawns looking for mama, and big bucks feeling their oats. Game cameras worked overtime, and lots of hunters from across whitetail country, they were reporting rut on an hourly basis. The big boys were on the prowl. It was nothing to see a dozen big bucks on camera in a 24-hour period and a dozen roadkills on the way to camp. Our rut meter was pegged at a solid 99%. Bucks were chasing does and hunters were sending us big buck hero shots. Every deer camp in the woods had at least one hanging. The rut was on and the woods were alive with testosterone-crazed bucks. It was time to be in the stand, and I mean any stand. The rut makes good hunters of us all. The rut meter stayed at 99% from the 9th to the last week of November. By the first week of December, the rut meter was on its way down to around 75%. Deer were still being bred and chases were still being observed, but the intensity had fallen off and you had to be at the right place at the right time. By mid-December, we were down to around a 25% reading, and the deer were back on the feed. The occasional doe was being bred, but for the most part, if you wanted to shoot, you had better be hunting a food source. Fawns and does were back together, and bucks were feeding with does, and chases were a thing of the past, and all but the biggest bucks were more interested in filling their bellies than chasing the girls. By Christmas, the rut had all but ended. It was all about hunting food unless you were headed south to catch some rut action in Alabama or Louisiana, or even some parts of Texas and Florida. The rut had come and gone across some 90% of the whitetail world. It rolls out this way about every year. The days might vary by a day or two or even by a couple of weeks, but it happens nonetheless. The days shorten, the hormones trigger, and an estrus doe hooks up with a testosterone-crazed buck. 200 days later, an 8-pound spotted wonder hits the ground, and the cycle is complete. It's been that way for a couple thousands of years, and if we're lucky, it will stay that way for 1,000 more.